From
Leonia!
Leonia, New Jersey, this is Carbo and Anthony and Sharon Selling Heroes.
Selling Heroes, oh yeah. This is the show that's all about pop culture.
Yes.
Home of Anthony's comic book store.
Comic books.
Yep.
Collectibles,
We live,
art.
eat, and what, Mike?
Breathe.
I breathe.
You breathe it?
I breathe every once in a while.
We
With the
breathe
gas
this stuff,
mask
all
on
this stuff.
sometimes.
When I'm buying comics, I need a dust mask, gas mask.
Well,
I
I'm
love
Anthony
the smell.
Snyder,
I'm Sharon.
Mike Carbonaro.
and we're coming to you from Leonia, New Jersey, the home of Carbo and Anthony's Selling Heroes, the store, anthonyscomicbookart.com. And fortunately, we're coming to you on the week of the passing of our dearly beloved Stan Lee. And, you know, Mike's been in this business for his entire life. Beep years. How many decades, Mike?
5+.
Oh my goodness, yep. And then when I was a kid, I was a huge fan. And then, you know, I got into sports and found my lovely wife, yes. And then I got back into comics in a big way, and especially when I met Mike in the early 90s.
I got into rock and roll and found other things.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Studio 54.
Oh yes.
You didn't get in there that
Well,
one
they
night.
let me in every once in a while. Sometimes they wouldn't. I tried to sneak in. That was the problem.
You know, just to go back and the stories and what he meant to us is really why we're here today, because I don't think comics would exist without his influence. You know, there's a divide out there. You know, creative genius or an incredible talented promoter. You know, which side of the tracks you want to be on. You know, you have to be fair about it.
I think he's both of those.
I think
Right?
so.
I got to
think
give
he
him
made-
credit as a a guy that had a career in marketing. You've had, you know, you have to market your different your shows and such like that, and you know how valuable that is. You know, it just doesn't get out there. You can be as creative as you want, you know, and not get it out there, and nobody consumes it.
Bill Graham couldn't play guitar, but he brought Led Zeppelin, The Who, The Grateful Dead, every great rock and roll person to 6th Street and 2nd Avenue in Manhattan, the Fillmore, the West End, and on the West Coast, you know, the Fillmore over there. So you need an impresario, and he was both impresario and creative writer, which is absolutely insanely amazing.
Right?
Yep. He
And
made superheroes relatable.
Right? Yep.
And he also made it intelligent. Not just for kids. He made it for adults.
Right. That's correct. I mean, you know, from a person that really didn't grow up with comics, you know, my wife here was a dancer and not really influenced by comics, but because of osmosis and being my wife.
I am so about comics now.
Yeah. Going back
Especially
to
Marvel.
when you were first selling me stuff, and we had comic boxes for furniture.
Yes.
You know?
I'd throw a tablecloth over it, right, Mike? Hidden.
I influenced a generation myself.
Yep.
But
Well, I wouldn't be in this business if it weren't for you, Mike. And
Yeah.
you know, I give you all that credit. You gave me my first piece of art, the first show I ever worked. You know,
it was a Big Apple convention.
no, it was a Javits show.
Oh, the Javits before Big Apple.
And
You
I
know-
remember for the 4 days I worked for you, you gave me like a $400 copy of Journey into Mystery '83 that probably would have graded out. It's like around a 9 today.
Oh
And
my
how much-
God.
How much would that have been? I can see it. It was flawless.
$75,000. You could buy a really
Oh,
nice
my
car with that.
goodness.
Right. But okay, so what Stan Lee really meant to me is like I was aware of Stan Lee from a very early age. I was reading Marvel Comics. I was so into Marvel Comics, and that is what I trended towards in reading comics. I mean, you know, from my personal, you know, background. I mean, I come from a very dysfunctional household. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of, you know, dysfunction, and comics provide me with that escape. You know, we've had other people give us that perspective, like, oh, comics were a great escape for me when I was a kid from, you know, the problems that were going on in my house, or, you know, I had at school or whatsoever. But I was aware of Stan from a very early age. At the age of 10, I went with my 2 comic book buddies to a speaking engagement that Stan put on in Las Vegas in 1974. And I was such a geek about it, I sat there in the front row and tape recorded it. And I still have the original tape recording. and I'm looking to make that a master of that and make it available to people because I'd made one copy. And I got to get it with somebody that can make a lot of copies. So at 10 years old, that's how much of a fan I was of Stan and Marvel Comics. You know, and he was had an autograph line, and I had him sign a $1 bill.
I'm so glad I didn't spend this. I almost
Now, you
spent
didn't
that.
save your Amazing Fantasy 15 first appearance of Spider-Man or Fantastic Four, one of your early comics, but you
Right.
saved the $1 bill with Stan Lee's name on it, not out of value, out of sheer
Nostalgia.
Yeah, loving him.
yes.
Okay,
sheer love
so
it.
this
And
was fortunately, look, I taped it to the wall. I got this idea because everybody, hey, you know, my Greek, I'll bet you $1 that, you know, such and such, and you know, when my dad lost, he'd sign it, and then they'd keep it. So in Vegas at the time, that, you know, signing $1. I didn't think to have him sign I had a Spidey one, I had an FF one, I had X-Men one, I had Daredevil one,
and
I
that
had
type
all.
of damage, it actually damaged the condition if somebody signed your comic book. It
Yeah, there
wasn't
was
as accepted as it is now and
You
desired.
gotta see this.
Yeah,
It's
it
amazing.
never entered my mind to have him sign a comic. I didn't bring a comic there for him to sign, but when he was doing autographs, I had him sign this $1, and I've had. Fortunately, it was in my childhood stuff, and Sharon found it a couple 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That's good. So she almost spent it, and
Yes,
My dad
for
had
a bottle
Cassius
of water.
Clay.
I was
Cassius
like,
Clay, Muhammad Ali signed a $2 bill. He gave it to my cousin, and my cousin spent the $2 bill.
Oh, no.
It was in 1963 outside the movie theater, Jason, when Jason the Argonauts was playing.
I want to hear
no.
from your earliest memory of
Well,
Stan and what he
yeah.
meant to you, Mike.
Well, as it just seems that around 10 years old, whether it was in the 1960s, 70s, or Brian in the 1990s when he was, it just seems that around that age, everyone seems to find out who Stan Lee is. Or prior to that. So I was 11 years old in 1968, and I was collecting comic books. And I was a member of the Mary Marvel Marching Society and all that stuff. And this is the original stationery, and I wrote the letter in my handwriting, which has not changed. It's still the same. Dear Marvel, I am sending $1.75 for a subscription to Ghost Rider. There were only 7 issues of Ghost Rider. It closed $1.75. Please send. I had my little stamp on my card. But P.S. If I wasn't an MMMS member, I wouldn't be sending it to you on this letter.
Right?
So I got the check back with my original letter because on the back it says.
Can I see?
Yep, it says
Oh.
it was discontinued Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider was
So I started to learn, wait a minute, discontinued a series of comics. I started to find out, well, how to collect things or why or what happens when they're discontinued. And I got the check back that my dad signed for $1.75 and kept that.
That's
so
amazing.
that was the collecting. But Stan was on a radio show. My mom used to listen to Bob Grant, who was a radio host in the 1960s. And by osmosis, I would listen to him too. So I called in and I forget the question or whatever it was, and he sent me a really cool picture. He says, this is me before I got my beard. It's dated on the bottom. I then met him again in the 1990s and had him sign it. And then when he came to Big Apple Convention, which was absolutely one of the highlights of running a comic book convention, I had Stan as a guest in 2012. Thanks to many people
Yep.
in the industry who helped me bring him
And
to
this
the
was
show.
this was a souvenir shirt that you had
Yeah,
made up.
Oh,
Agent
neat.
Max at the time, and
This is a
many
hand
other
sign.
people who helped bring Stan to
that's
New
cool.
York.
Hand
And so
signed
many
shirt.
people the day he passed away were just emailing us thanking me, and I didn't realize how. You don't realize how cool some of the things are, how important some of the things that you do are sometimes that, people really get a
Well,
chance
what's
to
funny
enjoy.
is
but-
that your original subscription that you were talking about was to the Western Ghost Rider, not
Yeah,
the
the
motorcycle.
Western Ghost Rider, the Marvel Ghost Rider, 1 to 7.
All right.
Yeah,
But
which I
now-
liked. I loved that stuff. I mean, that was so great. I had the T-shirts and all that. So anyhow, and I didn't save a perfect mint copy of Fantastic Four #1, which I remember selling it in '81 for $3,000, and it was pristine, 9.6, 987-figure comic book. But I did save these, and I was really proud to be a New Yorker this day after. That Tuesday morning, the Daily News had Excelsior on the cover of the Daily News, and it just, New York legend lived a marvelous life.
What does
is
Excelsier
just-
mean? Do you know?
Well, that-
Onwards and upwards?
Yeah.
It's Latin, yeah.
And
Always
that became a
upwards.
trademark phrase of his for where he signed off his soapbox that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and I bought piles of these from all the newsstands. If anyone would like a copy, gratis, as long as I've still got them left, just email me, mikecarbo@gmail. I'll be happy to send you a copy of the Daily News from that day. So
And maybe you can pick them up at your Big Apple show when you have it.
I'll make copies of it to hand out to everybody
Yeah.
because the originals will be gone by then, I'm sure. Look at that, Amazing Phases, Spider-Man, the first appearance in the Daily News right there for everyone to see. X-Men 1, Fantastic. Oh, they used the reprints as the copies. They didn't do originals, but nevertheless.
Oh, what's funny?
great.
Did you see the back?
Yeah, they added that too.
They used this for
Yep.
the Giants actually winning the
somebody
game.
there loved Stan too. You know,
Eli leads Giants on marvelous winning drive to buy some time as starter.
That's
Now,
awesome.
another friend of mine, his name is Oliver Hockren. He owns the Encounter in Pennsylvania, in Allentown, and he had a perspective on Stan. You know, we got to see him still at the end of his career, at the end of his life. He was still okay. In some ways, I mean, we really didn't see him. I mean, I know the signatures might have faded away near the end, but was he really cranky, this, that? There were some things that happened. Nevertheless, Stan was still, seemed to be, from what we saw, all there as much as possible. I mean,
Well,
we
yeah,
didn't really see.
not
I mean,
last
Stan
San
just
Diego,
kinda
Not last San Diego, but
went
the
off
one before.
into the sunset in his own way.
I was working a deal for 100 signatures with Max, and I went to his meet and greet at his suite in San Diego twice, one night after the next. And my son was with me, and we can talk about that when we bring him on.
Yeah, it's just, you know,
And he
I
was
couldn't.
all there, you know, he was 93 years old then. And
Oh, I remember being on a plane, the back of a plane. We went from up in San Francisco back to L.A. He happened to be in the back. He's telling jokes the whole time. The plane was laughing. It was just, I'm like, who is this guy back there? There was Stan 10 rows back telling jokes.
he wasn't in first class?
No, he like banging out. No. This was one of those like, you know, quick ones. So there was no first
Oh,
class.
the jaunty
Yeah, right.
ones. Yeah,
So
the turbo
it's
props.
just- I would not be wherever I am in the comic book world. He always was there to inspire us, me, my friends. You know, it's just so now. That's it. It's a new chapter in the world of comics and collectibles and things. And
But
Maybe
you know,
we can do
I
something.
think that you know, comics really turned on FF1 because if you go back and you know, he made them personable with foibles and you know, they argued, they had problems. The thing,
Yeah,
you know,
heroes
the
had
thing,
problems.
Yeah,
That was
the
new.
thing was not happy about being turned into a thing, you know.
neither would I.
And he was from Ben Grimm from Delancey, and he was a Jewish guy. And-
Yancey Street, one of my favorites.
and he-
Yancey Street, and then
And he had-
FF29.
Right? He had problems with the Yanks.
By the way,
Yanks.
FF29, another good investment.
The Yanks.
The Watcher.
The Yanks. Say it again. Yancey.
Yancey. One, Yancey. Delancey, just
Yancey.
take off the D.
But where was that? That was in the Lower East
Lower
Side.
East Side, Delancey's still there. Delancey and
Yeah.
Houston Street. I go
Okay.
by there to the Williamsburg Bridge
All
every
right,
day.
but where was Stan and Jack and
Yeah,
all
they lived
all
there,
those
Lower
New
East
York
Side.
Jews? That they were all from the Lower East Side, and they, you know, maybe they had to deal with some racist bullying back when they were growing up, and that was he translated that into his work in a way that the thing was overcoming that, or had to deal with that, or it was funny. You know, there was a sense of humor about it. That was really cool. You know,
It is.
in that respect.
Another thing about selling comic books, when I was a kid, I learned how to talk to people of all colors, races, and creeds by buying and selling comics. But, you know, you'd come to a comic book convention, and in the 70s, it didn't matter who you were. You want to buy a comic, you want to talk about a comic, you start talking, and you just open up, and there's your conversation with whoever you wanted, you know, and whoever was in front of you, and, you know, you connected on the Silver Surfer or Thor or the Hulk or whatever it was. And I remember, you know, it gave me a love of all people and a way to interact with anyone through comic
You mean all
books.
customers?
Yeah. Customers and people in general, too, as well.
No,
know,
it
was-
broke down bridges. I mean, it broke down barriers. You know, it
it-
formed bridges.
Superheroes, you wear a mask, you don't know who you are behind that mask. That's the whole idea. You take it off,
Yeah.
surprise. You know?
And if we go back and, you know, if comics hadn't turned on that original story of how FF was created, I don't think comic books would even exist today.
No, they would exist. It would
Come
be
on.
something different. Who
Do you
knows how
think
it would go
different.
forward?
without the Marvel Age of Comics at that point, do you think
It
DC
really was
could
a
have held
boom.
it down?
You know, you brought
I
something
don't
here.
know.
Speaking of
I don't
Marvel Age
think
of
so.
Comics, look
No,
at what Stan
this
did
is
in the 60s.
important.
I don't think the stories were interesting
He went
enough.
to the colleges and talked to the colleges, to the students. I mean, it wasn't radical. It was almost anti-establishment.
What is this?
In many ways, just like rock music in the 60s. I mean, that same explosion of ideas and colors and thought from that
What
60s
is this from,
period.
Mike?
That Stan Lee had an evening somewhere in a Pollock tutor. I don't even know where. What's the YOU lecture
TCU.
committee? It's
Virginia Commonwealth.
wow, quite possibly.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Whoa.
There's a great picture of
Wow.
Stan. A cool Excelsior picture. This is another. Yeah, look at this. Meet him in person. Markham Street Village, Excelsior Stan. The cool, you know, I mean, these posters just, dude, these are great. Don't exist.
But this is when he
Meet him
went
in
out.
person.
This is when he went out on the college circuit and the speaking engagement circuit. In what year is
Virginia
that one?
Commonwealth. Yeah, this has got to be 72 back.
Okay, that's about the same.
71.
Same time when I saw him
These
as a
are
10-year-old in
fragile.
Vegas, and he was out there promoting. Now people oh, he didn't do much after that. But if he wasn't there for that original formulation with his bullpen, with Jack Kirby, with Steve Ditko, with Larry Lieber, his brother, to invent,
Thor.
and Spider-Man and the FF and Hulk and Thor and the X-Men, where would comics be today, Mike?
I have no idea.
Where? I just don't think they'd have
Everything evolves
survived.
differently. So
I just don't- yeah. I don't think
Stan
DC
was at the head of the DNA of the comic book world.
I don't
And
think DC could have carried the mantle for comics to survive as the the medium that it has become today. Let's put it that way.
Their stories were much lighter.
You can't
The
go back and read the
Batman
DC
stories,
stuff from
yeah.
that time.
No, they
it
were
was
all
meant.
for
It was
kids.
it was for kids, and you can go and appreciate
the
those.
art's still good on the DC comic books.
Yeah, they had
I
great
love the
artists.
art. I do
They had
love
great, I was super attracted to those illustrative artists like Neil Adams and Batman and
yes,
stuff like that.
definitely.
But and Nick Cardy for his cover work and stuff like that. I loved how he would put the horror and the heroes together, like Superman getting jabbed with the voodoo and stuff like that. There were high points, let's say, but without the force that Neil Adams was, what else do you can you call upon from that era that's going to say, oh yeah, this can hold up? What? I don't know. I just don't know. So anyway, I think comics today, exist as a medium because of Stan. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to. Instead of saying would it does exist today as the medium and as the broad perspective that we have today on comics and comics characters that are going out worldwide. That it exists today
You
because
made
of
an
it.
interesting choice as a businessman, which I find extremely intriguing. And instead of going into the comic book world, you went into the adjunct of the comic world, which was the art world. At a time in the 90s when it was not as valuable or as important as it has now become.
No.
So that was
Yes.
kind of prescient in many ways. But, why did you... I mean, I always loved the comics because I could buy them in bulk and I could buy things, I could
Right.
sell them, and it was mobile, and I could do it that mountain, and it had, volatile. It was good, up and down. I could always buy, there was a lot going on. But you chose to get into the art world, one of a kind, piece by piece, and you built an amazing, amazing amount of
business.
How did you do
gravitas
that?
and,
Yeah.
How did you
and
do that?
business and things like that.
What
So
made
that's
you
an
do that?
interesting
Yeah.
choice.
I think there was a personal and a talent within me about it, but it was also a practical sense where I couldn't fit 100 boxes in a New York
see?
apartment.
And
We were in a
Yeah.
three-story walk-up, so that was really hard.
okay.
So it's a joke, but I mean,
Not
again,
really in some ways.
that was a practical matter of it.
Interesting.
But you gave me that first piece of comic art. I remember when we were in that one-bedroom apartment on 19th Street in 1992, I think it was, or 93. You brought me a Hulk page, and I still have it. I should have brought it, but and I was like, oh wow. And so, what was I doing at the time? I was a photographer.
Yeah. So that was
So
your eye.
yes, I have that visual. I'm very visual. oriented person.
painted
and yeah,
drew
well,
and-
yes.
Yes,
yeah,
you were good.
I was self-trained and
He was
didn't
good.
just did it myself. And there are some things that still hold up. And I actually showed one. Hey, Esad, I did this. He was like, pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Don't try so hard. I don't want any more competition. He's made a joke about it. But I was very visually oriented, and I think the visual sense that I had was helped to develop because of my early involvement with comics. So that goes back to that period of time when I was 8, 9, 10 there. So, I mean, we moved. My dad got the job at CBS in 77, and it was like 78 that we moved to the East Coast, and my comics got put in storage, and I started playing team sports, and comics got left behind until I settled down. Met my wife, and it was funny. We were on a casting call, right? I was taking you to a casting, and the elevator opened, and it opened on Cosmic Comics, our friends. Cosmic
Chuck
Comics.
I love that.
Whom
place.
I put into business again, and you saw me doing it in
Cosmic
Parsons,
Comics.
Queens. I helped him
Chuck,
many times.
yeah.
I mean, he sold me plastic bags. That was his thing. He had the comic book bags, and I was buying them by the thousands every
Yeah.
week.
I need more bags.
So
Yeah.
that elevator opened, and I was like, hey, honey, I like comic books. I liked Hulk when I was a kid. And that was another thing. I found a comic book store, and I got attracted to a Hulk Future Imperfect. I got to see what year that came out because I bought The Future Imperfect by George Perez. And I ended up owning that cover at one time. I bought it for
the
like...
covers.
Yeah,
and
the
sold it for
cover.
5 figures.
I
You
just
know?
think Stan blessed us all in so many ways. I
did.
mean, I just feel I've actually been walking with a positive vibes in the last week or two, thinking about all the things that he's done and all the people. And I've been calling up friends of mine that I haven't spoken to in months, and you say, hey, you want to sell your comic books now? But besides that, we talk about Stan and the things that that he meant for everybody, and we're going to do that. I'm going to have that at the Big Apple convention in March. We're going to do a special tribute. I'm trying to put something really amazing together with hopefully some of his family, and we're going to have a soapbox, and we're going to get up and tell their 30 seconds of what Stan meant to them and why, and it's the same weekend as the Captain Marvel movie that's coming out, and man, can you imagine what it'll feel like when you see Stan's cameo on that? I mean, I know I'll be crying. There's
Well,
just
I know
no doubt,
that when I was
So,
dealing with him about
in the film.
that last signature session I had with him, which I got 100 signatures. I still have the pen. It's with my badge from San Diego Comic-Con 2 years ago. And I kept the pens that Stan signed 100 signatures with, and I made sure it was a tight pen, like the one he signed your thing with in my dollar bill. It's a
I think
tight
this is
ballpoint,
almost
Yeah,
way
oh,
back,
yeah.
in the 60s. Ballpoint pen, how about that?
Yeah. So and then
well-
there were different sessions that we did. Where I did.
These are super cool to have gotten signed. You got
hey,
the
Stan,
Marvel
I had
stickers.
the original
That's the
stationery tore apart, and I just had him sign like 50 of these. So I have these, because I was a big fan. And
Signatures there.
All those stationaries.
Yeah. I
Look at
love
these are
these.
great though, the Marvel stickers. There were 55 in the set of the stickers. 66 in the card set that came out the same. The
I love
sticker
this
set.
one. I told him to
sticker set
sign
is really
on
rare
the
and nice
from.
shape.
on the from, but he missed a few. So I mean, that was
These
cool.
are really good. I mean, look at this.
envelopes.
You get a little card with Iron Man on it and Stan Lee. It's great. Have you put up some of these up for sale?
1 or 2.
These are great. That's it. That's a one of a
I
kind thing
still
to get
like
Those
signed.
cards? Hold on.
Those are great.
Let me see
I
these.
still like them. Oh well, those are the 66 and
Stickers.
67.
I used to pull them off and put them on the back of things. I was 8
they're
years
all the
old then. It was great.
characters signed.
I know somebody who
Amazing.
has a sealed case of these.
No way.
Yep.
I'm interested.
All, I believe it's a 16 box sealed case. So 16 boxes in the case. It might even be a 24
see if
box.
I can
As a matter of fact, I
find
have to call them.
Oh, here's the thing. I like this one.
So there you go.
How
That's
about
cool. Let me see
yeah,
that.
you know what, Mike? This is a
Yeah.
special deal that we had that we shared together. This is the season's greeting, and then what does it say in the bottom corner there, Mike?
Stan the Marvel. Oh, Carnegie Hall.
Yep. And
Stan
what do
Lee
we
and the
got?
gang at Carnegie Hall, January 5th at 8 o'clock.
And you have
Oh,
We
wow,
have-
look at the art on the back.
No. Well,
I don't know who did that.
You never know. This could be, but this is an invitation season.
Right?
Let me
greetings.
show the.
Oh, C-Stan. This was a promo.
Yeah.
C-Stan and the Gang. So this came out that Christmas right before it. So it's
Well,
Christmas
yeah,
71.
They were sending out their Christmas
Right.
card and
This was just-
advertising the event.
I've told the story of what I did at that event.
Yeah,
I
tell it
was there.
again. It's a great story.
It was there. I mean, it was just great. I got tickets for it. It was Wednesday to January 5th. So I guess, yeah, the second Sunday of the month was the next following Sunday. So that was this 5, 6, 7, 8, the 9th. So the second Sunday was the comic book show, Phil Sully's comic show. So that Wednesday, I was there. Everyone was on stage, but they were giving out comic books. I remember with Fantastic Four number 20, and all for like 6 months worth of comic books. 120 of Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and the whole time they had a lot of excess comics. So I was paying off the ushers and getting piles of comics, walking out and handing. My parents waited for me outside, and I was filling up their back seat. Filled with comics. I mean, the whole thing was back. I think I actually made my parents drive home, unload them, and drive back again.
Whoa.
I had so many comics filled up from this event that I kept.
Well,
I took every one of them to the convention and was selling them for like a quarter, 50 cents, or whatever.
And they
I
were
mean,
giveaway comics
No,
to
they
kids?
weren't giveaways. They were the
Oh.
regular issues of the comics that were out. But
Oh,
you
they
know,
were selling
it
them?
was hard to get those stuff those days. I mean, you were selling a brand new comic that came out, you could get half a buck for it, even if it was a quarter or 20 cents. That same week when it came out at the
Well,
Suling
72,
conventions.
they were 20 cents.
Yeah. So I was
Well,
selling them for a quarter
No,
at the
still
show.
15 cents, right,
So
Mike?
it was just super cool, you know.
15
and
cents.
Then later on, I met the man who produced this, Steve Lemberg. Mm-hmm. Okay, and him and I talked, and I ended up buying a whole bunch of original stuff from him, posters. And you have one of the most amazing things, the original Carnegie Hall poster,
Right.
which we'll have a picture of and put on the thing, that was in the marquee on the facade of the building when you would walk in. It's
We
black and white, no
really,
less.
I mean,
And
you
it's
should.
gigantic too, it's big. It's one of those big ones. It's so nice.
there.
You mean this?
Oh my gosh, I didn't know you brought it. Come on, pull it out. This is so good.
Don't say
This
pull
is
it
so-
out.
All
Next
right,
company.
well, there you go. There you go. All right. Oh, man. This is just a super cool
All
thing.
right, so in the
But
deal-
Steve Lemberg was a really cool guy. He also produced the Spider-Man record, the Buddha
Right.
Records, and I believe that came first earlier, and that's what got him involved. And he wanted to create a whole thing with the Marvel superheroes on Broadway and on stage and things like
Right.
that. It never actually came to
But we
fruition.
have some
Too
stuff we
bad.
can show about that, too.
Yeah. So there you go. We
So-
got all live music, magic, and myth. Wonder who wrote that. It sounds like Roy Thomas.
No, it sounds like Stan. Don't
Okay.
you think it's Stan?
Carnegie Hall, look at that. An erudite evening of cataclysmic culture with your friendly neighborhood bullpen gang.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
There were other people there. There were other
Wow,
bullpen
this
people
is
there.
so amazing. Look at that. Yeah, so what is this thing? This is like
A 3-sheet.
4 feet by 3 feet, maybe
I think it's a
more.
3 sheet.
5 feet. It's 5 feet. There he is, Steve Lemberg Productions.
We should try to get him on and talk about
Yes,
this
I'm,
thing.
I'm,
we should,
I'm in the process of doing that.
yes.
That is so
So there you
awesome.
go. Yep.
So there were only 2 of these made. I had one that was loose. This one was kind of, it needed some help, so I had it linen mounted. I
That's
sold
really
the other
nice.
one to a very high-end collector.
A high-end collector.
But the thing that was really ahead of its time, while he produced his stage presentation of Marvel Comics, and mostly to promote Marvel as an entity. But what Mike was talking about was that they did some concept art
Absolutely amazing.
of a Marvel stage play. And
Yeah.
here's
This is
Thor
something
in
you'll never
Asgard
see.
with the audience, with the Rainbow Bridge.
You know,
and
you should make copies of these for Christmas and do something, send to your top customers or something. That'd be really
Right.
cool because this is
so
nobody
this,
has
yeah,
this.
nobody. This is the only
at
ones
that
that
one.
exist of this.
The silver flying around with a,
Yeah.
with a peanut gallery in the background
Well, that's
watching
the
him on
audience.
stage.
Yeah. So they were thinking about this in 1972 to put together a Marvel stage play and take it to Broadway. Now that's what's really interesting.
Well,
and
maybe
one-
now its time has come.
And then that one, there was a stage play, the Marvel Bring On the Dark, right, Jamie? Bring On the Dark.
Oh, the actual right.
What?
The Spider-Man.
Turn off the dark.
Turn Off the Dark.
Spider-Man.
Okay. Well, I remember
We
I
saw
took
that.
my
You
You
kids
have
to
to bring it
that.
off before you can turn. You have to bring it up before you can turn it off.
Right? So this is concept art from Marvel stage plays, to
super
be
cool stuff.
And I think that there is a touring company now today. What 1972, 82, 92, 202. 45, 46 years later, I mean, this came to pass, and it's sort of like the technology of computer graphic imaging, CGI, caught up with the technology of comic books, which was a man's imagination and his ability to lay it down in artwork. So I mean, that's why the movies have succeeded so well. I mean, have you ever seen a better 3D movie than Doctor Strange? I don't think so. That was like my favorite 3D movie ever.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Close.
Well, I don't know. I'm not that big of a fan. So, Steven Lemberg, we're going to try to get him on the show. We're going to try to talk about the event. And we have, a collection of the stuff that he parted with. I've been what's the word?
Accumulating.
No, I curated it in a certain way. I mean, whatever. I'm not selling it. I want to keep it, for prosperity. I had Stan sign it. I had Herb sign it.
Herb Trimp.
And now they're both gone.
You should bring all your T-shirts on one and fill this up with all the T-shirts and talk about the Marvel T-shirts and the posters and stuff.
Here's a Marvel T-shirt that
That's
I
one of
had
the
Stan
originals.
sign.
Oh, I love this.
The youth version. The
little one.
I was just looking at it. There's like, I think 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different versions of each shirt based on the size. There was the youth, 3 different sizes. Then there was the adult, 2 sizes. Then super adult and all. There was like 10 different
Super adult?
sizes for each T-shirt.
Okay.
Yes, super adult.
That's funny.
The sweatshirts
Anthony,
only
you're
had 4 sizes.
extra super adult.
Yes, thank you, honey.
Cool stuff. Let me see the sticker on this one. That doesn't have the
Hang tag
label,
or
but
whatever.
it's-
Yeah,
you
no
can see
label
that it
there.
was there. Somebody cut it
Yeah, I
off.
have a whole collection that I got that doesn't have the labels
Oh,
on.
there you go. At least you got them, though. You know they were there. Let's sell something, Marvel. I'm going to sell you something, Marvel. Let's see. Come on. Here you go. This is something that Marvel did. So I asked Stan when he came to my show, I had one question for him. And Stan, when you decided to market like Spider-Man, was there some thought and style and way you want to market, and how did you eventually get it to go to the movies? And he goes, I would sell it to anybody who wanted to buy it. I mean, basically, and that's what he did. He would find a way, but Marvel had these creative.
There is a bad story about that because he did sell the rights to the Spider-Man movies and his for. I think the sum was like $2,500. He sold the rights to Marvel, and that's what tied up Marvel for a couple decades.
You know what? It all worked out in the end, so to speak, in many ways. But this was the first one. They came up with these. This is like a coloring book. I think it was a great idea, and they've started redoing it again because I thought it was a good idea then, and they brought it back.
I love the back.
Super comic
Look at the
book coloring book. That was the first one that came out. And I remember when it came out, and I was buying these for half price or even $1 and getting $1.50 and $2 for these. I was selling these by the thousands when it came out.
With
So
great
do you
power.
recognize this?
I do.
This hung on my wall for like 10 years. I had the original art.
It's gone now.
Yeah,
it's a
gone
little
now.
to a high-end collector.
Well,
It's great.
it's
With great power.
It's not a low
There must
budget.
be
These
also
are
come
really nice shape. There's like
great
35. Look, there's your
responsibility.
Doctor Strange, right? Look at that great cover. Wow, nice Brunner. I should get Brunner
Oh,
to
let me
come
see. I love Doctor Strange.
to the show. So I've got 35 of these, Anthony, and they're all mint, gradable,
Mint.
including the later ones, which you can't find. The Conan one, the later one,
Wow.
the Conan one here. Let's see. Later issue. It's just one of each. All of them. Spidey, 18, 19. See, this is a complete set.
Conan, all those.
A complete
Spider-Man.
set, including the Star Wars 2001, the Land of Oz, blah blah blah.
Yeah, the
Blah, blah,
2001, I actually had about half of that
at
book
that.
at one time.
But these are mint copies.
The back,
So-
what was great about
Why
some of
this
these.
isn't worth thousands of dollars, I don't know.
How much is it worth?
Wow, is it?
Well, there's 35 copies here. I'll sell you the whole thing for $500.
Conan.
There you go. We can start it. We can put it together as part of the.
Let me show you a couple pieces of
Okay.
art that I used to own.
Oh.
Yep. There's these ones. Not that
See,
one.
that's
that one.
interesting. And that's
Not
the thing
that
about
one.
Marvel. They would find a way to market all kinds of stuff. The guy, somebody was just telling me there's another book coming out, a third book about the Marvel toys and Marvel
This. I had
accessories.
this.
Oh, that's so great. Jack Kirby, look
You
at that.
had that.
Yeah. Here, you
Number
show 'em.
200
amazing.
was a
And then
great Jack Kirby
I had-
comic.
Yeah, and I had this. This is really hurts. I had this. The kids.
I remember this.
That's
Yeah.
such great. Look at the way, man. That's perfect.
So that's painful to look at. Sold those to some low butt collectors.
You need them all to make the business work.
Yeah.
There you go. So
And
there
then
you go.
Ben,
That's
this one,
something that
that's
we can
really
buy.
cool.
There you go. You get started. Is that good?
Bicentennial
I
battle.
And I got something for the store here. So is that good? We're good? 500. There
I
you
don't
go.
know. Throw those banner
these,
thing
now
in.
these.
Throw
That's
the
like
banner
that's
thing.
$1,000 if you put that up for $1,000. That'll start to bid up from 1,000.
I like this deal, so I'll take that in the deal at $50.
Fine, $50. You can have that.
$5.50. All
Fine,
right, I'll
that's
do
$50.
that.
You can have that.
Wait, what was that?
Okay.
I missed it.
This is for the store. You can come in and get these. They'll be $10 each.
Ooh.
Action. And
What are they?
They're really nice roll-ups.
They're little
Ah.
banners.
Here you go.
Yeah, let's show that.
Yay.
Oh, I like that.
How's that?
That's
Super
fun.
duper, right? That's great.
All right, so that's $10 less since you opened one.
Here's another $50 you're gonna buy.
It's
An
not
original
mint anymore.
display.
Ooh, wait. You're going too fast for me.
There you go. That's for myself too. Original display. MCA. So I guess this was a cassette. There was some cassette. Oh no, I guess is
I
this
like that.
some video cassette version of a Spider-Woman and.
A video cassette?
Yeah, I think it
Or
was a video cassette. Or it wasn't
or-
a game. I don't think so.
MCA is a music
Yeah,
audio.
Wait,
But-
what character is this?
So it's
That's
probably an
Spider-Woman.
audio
There
cassette,
she is.
isn't
This
it?
is Spider-Woman?
Music Club of America. I don't know MCA.
Right?
I don't know. I think it's music. But anyhow,
So it was probably
it's a display. It
Well,
was in either the record
you had
store
to read
or
along, and this was probably the cassette
Super rare.
version from the records, right?
So.
A cassette version.
So here's a question now. We would always normally get something like this signed by Stan Lee. I mean, that would be the
Yeah.
go-to thing, and you'd want it signed.
Yes.
Now what?
Yep.
Is there,
Now what?
you know, I mean, do we have other of the artists and creators that should sign these? I think
Well,
that's.
I mean, I have
know-
a lot of respect for Roy Thomas, but
I want to try
mean,
and get him to Big Apple in this March. I'm not sure if I can still get him. As a matter of fact, I gotta put that down on my list of 1,001 things to do. But there you go. All right, Anthony, here's another $50. There you go. That hits 600.
Okay.
I think you want that.
But that's all, I'm paying. See how I love how you sucker me in. Hey, you're gonna make money on this
It's
deal.
another 50.
These will never
It's
sell.
another 50. It's another 50. Oh, another 25.
And
Wait,
we'll
minus
see.
the 10 because
Okay.
he opened that thing.
There you go. Do you want to look at a box of comic books?
I don't know. Do
I
you,
think that's a good deal, Anthony, honestly.
you like
Okay.
that deal,
Here you
Sharon?
go.
I do.
I'm gonna have to ask my wife, Mike.
There you go. Okay, great. I got a box of comic. Oh, look at this. There's Dazzler. Here's another character that seems like this one's going
Here,
to
let me
start.
show it back here.
I'm talking about my predictions. So,
Dazzler.
Mike's predictions.
I have never
Okay,
heard of Dazzler.
She was a disco version.
Had you
should
all
know about Dazzler.
listened
I
to
like
Mr.
disco.
Michael Carbonaro when he said 6 months ago, buy Fantastic Four #1, you would have probably made 50% on your money, anywhere from 25 to 50%. However much you would have invested. So add that up over a year, okay? Now, I'm taking a little bit of a long shot with this one, but I have a feeling there's going to be some things in the next year or two that are going to advance the whole origin and story of Sergeant Nick Fury. I don't know how it'll go back, whether he'll be World War II and Nick
Can I see
Fury
it?
will be a son of his or somewhere, something. I'm not sure how that'll work itself out. You know, maybe he had a liaison with some lady in some far off country somewhere, and Nick Fury comes out of that, and he was still Sergeant Fury from World War II. I don't know how that'll happen. But I love these.
Maybe
Why?
Samuel L. was
Why?
adopted.
Oh, that's whoa! I hadn't thought of that. That's pretty cool. No, but he's got it in his genes. It's got to be. So this is some of my favorite Jack Kirby art. I thought because Jack Kirby had done the Boy Commandos, and you have now the adult version, the Howling Commandos in the 60s. He did the Boy Commandos in the 40s, and this is just absolute. That's maybe my favorite page. Wahoo. Right there.
Wahoo!
Wahoo. Okay, we should start the show with that from
I'm sure
now
they
on. That'd
didn't
be
say
great.
that.
Let's end it with Wahoo from now on. Okay?
No,
That's
let's
great.
begin
do
with
it.
Wahoo and end with Excelsior.
Fine. Okay. But anyhow, I suggest you buy, and you can buy VG copies, but the higher grades you get, because they're so hard to find in high grades, Sergeant Fury's, any numbers from 1 to 20. I'll even take the shot. It's really 1 to 13 because 13 is the Captain America, and the first 7 issues, 8 issues are really good. 7 issues are really great Jack Kirby art. So I would go to the first 7 and number 13, and then along the way you can buy the others. But these early issues
I'm
of Sergeant
showing
Fury,
this-
$100 for a number 2 of Sergeant
Yeah,
Fury.
this is a number 2
You know, and
that
it's
I'm
one of the
showing.
major titles in the Marvel world. So this is one of Mike's investments, and a year down the road we'll see how that one plays out. I've been buying them.
I'm going to
So you
take
can
the
take it from
under
there.
on this one, Mike.
Okay. Okay.
I
So what do
really
you?
will.
So now seeing what's been going on in the last, you know, your sales have been ringing up left and right on eBay with all kinds of Stan Lee stuff. And, you know,
Yeah.
what have you seen? Have you seen any spikes in any other characters or anything happening? You know, anything new that you know is out of the blue that I might not know, or that you know our fans out there and
Well,
TV
we saw
fandom.
a run up to the Venom, and you know that's come and gone.
we know Venom, right?
Yeah, but
so-
I mean, Spidey 300s are always, you know, always a great buy, and I think that one's really what?
I want the one that
What?
nobody knows yet. I want the one
What?
that, you know, I'm going to Dallas Fair. What am I going to be buying? What am I looking for? I heard Spidey 316. Now, which maybe that's already old because it's the first Venom
Cover, yeah, yeah,
Which
that's
you know,
that's a nice one.
But it's starting. It's things that are like starting now to get hot.
What about
Have you-
Spider-Gwen and the new characters that are coming out in
Yeah, with
Yeah,
the
that's
multiverse.
another
Spider-Verse.
that's another run.
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Gwen
Yep.
names?
How about that one, right?
Yeah.
The silly Spider-Ham book?
Yeah,
Right, there you go. He
There's
appears
a-
in the multiverse.
There's a there's a Spider-Ham pop too.
Yeah,
even.
Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to be doing a special showing of
there's an
Spider-Ham
anime
December 10th
character
in
in
New
that-
York. I'm
in
going to be doing a
that,
screen. I'm working with somebody who's doing a screening, and I might have like about a dozen tickets available if you want to go
Just
see
a
it.
dozen?
Yeah, about a dozen pairs. A dozen, 6 pairs, something like that. So,
I would like
I mean,
to
I'm fine. Jameson,
rent our own.
come here. Tell us about the Spider-Verse and what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Our
Jameson.
resident Spider-Man.
Yay.
Spider-Verse. What are your questions on the Spider-Verse?
All right, tell us like
Tell us,
what the
I'm
Spider-Verse.
literally lost.
The-
What's going on?
I
What's
mean, my
happening?
favorite part of the Venom movie was the 5-minute trailer or
Sneak
Come
that
back
they-
for this
sneak
one.
peek that they ran at the end of
Best part of the movie.
right.
Yeah. It
Well,
was
tell
not
us about it.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the dimension, like taking place with Miles Morales, like it's inspired from the Ultimate Dimension where Spider-Man at the end died. He's dead. Spoilers to it.
Peter Parker. Well, who's he
Spoiler
talking
alert.
It's Peter Parker. Spider-Man is dead, and then Miles Morales took over, because you
to?
know.
Oh, in that dimension.
Yeah.
But Peter Parker comes from his dimension, and he's
And trains him, right?
talking
Yeah.
to him.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, I think that one's just supposed to be like classic OG. Everyone knows when people think Spider-Man, they think that Spider-Man, that one. Except he's got a 5 o'clock shadow and is a little old. But other than
Okay.
Why is the Spider-Ham in it? Or was that just a
Oh, that's
joke
a
in the
joke.
trailer?
That's a-
He's going to
Wait,
appear in
he's
the
in
movie.
there.
He's in the movie
Yeah,
as
okay.
a joke character.
And wait,
Right.
isn't there like an anime character also?
Yes, okay. It's not like act from a show, but there's a character that's like from Japan that in the comics that's like the daughter of Spider-Man, and then she pilots a robot suit.
Is her name Penny?
And these
Penny
are all first
Parker?
appearances in the
It's
comic
Penny
books now
Parker.
that are, I'm hearing
Yeah.
that those books are being,
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
kind of
ching, ching,
percolating.
ching.
They're
Yeah.
they're the interest is there. Whereas like, oh, what is that? The first Spider-Ham, $10. I don't care. But now it's like
Oh,
$75.
I like
No,
Spider-Man.
75 or more.
right?
Spider-Ham.
Yeah. So Spider-Ham is percolating. What other characters? Spider-Gwen. You know, they
Spider-Gwen.
feature her
Yes, I love
predominantly at the end of that that car race action scene. She's really cool, and
Spider-Man. It's cool.
yeah, maybe your mom should do
Did you
Spider-Gwen.
know? Do you know what like Spider-Gwen's origin story is?
No, tell us about him.
Okay, so instead of Peter Parker, she got bitten by a spider, and then Peter Parker kind of was developing an inferiority complex because like he's getting constantly bullied, and like he just like his girlfriend just got like these crazy amazing powers out of nowhere, and he's like, I'm gonna do something, and tries to get like makes up, and then he becomes a lizard, and then he gets overdoses on lizard and dies. and Gwen is like kind of fighting him ish, like not really wanting to beat him up because But anyway, he transforms back, then dies, and then everyone thinks like, oh hey look, that masked person is holding a dead child's body. That's suspicious. And that's her origin story.
Interesting.
Okay.
Is that's in the comic books?
Yeah.
Spider-Gwen comic
Whoa.
books.
Yeah.
Wow, what's the first appearance of Spider-Gwen?
Spider-Gwen. Spider-Verse.
That was it?
No, it was Spider-Verse number 2, right? Or
I think it might have just started as its own thing, but
Wow.
Oh, it was Spider-Verse. She
Well, I'll
appeared on
find out this
Spider-Verse.
I think it was
weekend.
Spider-Verse.
yeah.
So there you go.
So I mean,
Interesting.
I took, like I mentioned earlier, that we were at that Stan Lee meet and greet.
Yeah.
And I know
got a
that you had
picture
the
with him.
experience when
Yeah.
you were smaller. You were about what, 7 or 8 that you met him. That was in 12. Yeah, that was in 12.
Yeah.
When did you? What did Stan Lee mean to you as a 16-year-old guy? How old are you now?
16, yeah.
Okay, yeah, 16.
I'm turning 17 next month.
Yes.
So that was 6 years ago.
Stan Lee was just
12.
a figure that just kind of seemed beyond reality a lot. But like, and a couple of times when I was in room with him, like, oh hey, he helped create all those things I really like. That's wow. It's. I kind of mentally prepared myself, like, oh wow, he's really old. I'm gonna be like one of the last kids that grew up knowing Stan Lee was alive in my generation. Like if I ever got kids, and then like, oh man, they're never gonna be in the same room with Stan Lee, which.
They'll
Yeah, but his
A lot of
characters,
people never
his
did,
characters and his creations
They will
live
live
on.
on forever.
Yeah, in a way, I haven't mourned that much. I mean, like, oh, that's true. But like, he's just everywhere constantly I look, so it's just kind of, he's immortal in a sense.
Yeah, I agree. His creations are immortal, and like your hair's going to be one day.
It's just,
Oh, that's great.
All right. So
Awesome.
what's fun is that you had a chance to take a couple pictures with him, and you have
Yeah.
those landmark things. I remember you were taking a picture with him, and I didn't even get a picture with him that night in San Diego, and because
That's a
I was
shame.
trying to get my signatures done that were thousands of dollars to me.
we were out there so late.
So yeah, we were there till like 2 in the morning, and I finally did get my signatures when Stan was in his bathrobe and whatever. So Stan Lee, you're a big Spider-Man fan. That's
Absolutely.
and I think that's Stan's biggest creation, really. I mean, he's kind of old school in a way that he thinks FF is, but I like Spider-Man too. I think
I
the
think he's
FF
my
is
favorite.
translated.
I like
an interview-
Fantastic Four,
I-
but I haven't really seen them in anything good.
Oh, you will. I had an interview at the 1972 comic book convention in July, so I was like 14 years old, and I remember they asked me, what's your favorite character? And I told them Reed Richards. And they asked me why, because he could stretch to the top of the Empire State Building. And I remember, I still have that footage somewhere. I'm looking for it. It was Channel 4.
Oh, that would be great
Yep.
to see.
On
that.
So there you
my
go.
on my cassette recording of the Stan Lee speaking engagement, he opened the floor to questions, and I blurred out, "Why did you cancel Not Brand X?"
Oh, that's great.
Did he answer you?
We should
Yeah.
get buttons that
What
say,
did he
why
say?
did
What'd
you
he
cancel
say?
that
What'd he
brand
say?
X? Let's get buttons. So we go,
Well,
not brand
look
X?
at all the
wasn't
things
good.
Stan left us. All these sayings,
Aw.
all these isms, all
What's
these
not
things.
brand
It's
X?
amazing.
It was a joke book. It was a
joke
spoof
comic book.
book. It was everybody, all the Marvel universe had like a spoof character, and Mike's looking for one now.
It's right
Quickly.
here. I remember seeing a number 13. There it is. 13,
All right.
not Brand X, the last issue.
Oh, all right.
There was only 13 issues, not Brand X. It was
What's
more
the
to spoof.
bootleg Spider-Man?
So you had Mad comic books. It was almost like Marvel's version of Mad Comics against themselves, spoofing their own character. But it was also cool, and the art was great. It was better than Mad in many ways, although Mad is its own thing. But I think Not Brand X has room to come back, and that would be a long shot.
It
But I
amused
think
me
if
when I was a child.
Yeah, just the idea. Forbish Man, right?
And
It's
the
another
Forbish
superhero
Man,
who's
let's
never
check it
gotten
out.
his due yet.
Well, he was like
He wore
he was like
stupid
the
things that we talk about.
Wicked
it's
Witch.
ridiculous, but we love them. It's absolutely insane. The guy wore a pot on his head. A steel pot. Is he in there?
the
A
Incredible
steel pot.
Bulk.
You get off the stove and you put it on his head and put a big
Incredible
F on it.
That's an actual bootleg movie.
Yeah, here
that
he is.
Awful.
There you go.
Forbish Man has a better idea.
There he is. I mean, it's ridiculous, but there it is. I mean, these characters so beloved. I don't know what to say. Look, there's Reed Richards with his stretching.
Okay.
great.
But
I
what
love the
was
cover.
Forbishman a code?
Not Brain
for
Nick
somebody?
#1, first appearance. He's part of the lexicon. I guess he's in the superheroes. There's some really nice art.
Arachnids
A good friend of
unite.
ours has some original art of that. That's really neat.
You're in good
That looks like
hands
the tip.
with all
Not Brand
Stay
X.
Hoops.
So
So it was a fun joke book, and it amused me when I was a child. And I
there you
asked
go.
Stan,
But not
hey,
Brand X. Well,
know.
that's a good
Why?
question.
Well-
What's not Brand X?
yeah, how do you say
Why
it?
did they cancel not Brand X? Was that your question,
Look,
Anthony?
rent a superhero.
That was my question.
No, that's his question. Yeah, yeah.
and
No,
I
to
asked
Stan
what
Lee.
it was.
Why did they cancel not Brand X?
Simple Surfer.
Same
not,
reason as the Ghost Rider.
Not Silver
Not enough
Surfer,
sales.
it's
Not enough
Simple
sales.
Surfer.
Cancel it.
That's
Hits
It
Python.
says Roy and Marie Severin and Stan. They gave a triple credit. The origin of Simple Surfer.
Simple Surfer. It's pretty funny.
See, I mean, it's a joke book. It's fun.
Joke book. Remember when you go on a collection and you buy and somebody will say, hey, you want to buy my joke books? Every once in a while people will call them joke books. And that's what Stan did. He took the comic books from being joke books and made them something
love this.
special.
Who says
For a
the comic
generation and now generations, all of us. I mean,
Well,
everyone here, I know I'm seeing, as we're doing this, all the guys that are behind the scenes, the camera friends, our associates, our people, they're all nodding, yes. They love the movies.
Well,
they
this
love
was
Stan,
the spoof
everything.
mag, too, that he
It's
did,
just-
right?
It's just amazing. Yes,
In the
by
se-
Stan Lee,
in the
another one.
season.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah, well, he would add his flavorful responses or retorts to a photo. Or
Well, this wasn't art. This
exclamation.
was a movie
No, he
parody,
would just
right?
do old
No, it's all
monster
movies.
photos.
Yeah.
No, monster photos, and he would create the little blurb, add
Yeah.
his same as he did with the stickers. He would add a little thing, a little funny saying to go along with the caption in the funny monster thing there.
Yeah, all right.
I actually have a really cool present for you, Sharon. Hold
What
on,
is
last but not
this?
least,
This is cool.
Barbie's Dream House.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
It's Barbie's Dream House.
It's a dream house.
Didn't I already give you a dream house, honey?
There you
No.
go. That's good. Wait. You gotta open this up and
I'm
look
gonna
at it.
open this.
It's super cool. Okay,
Check it
we'll put
out.
all this stuff
The
down.
teenage fashion model's house.
Is she a teenage fashion model still?
She is.
Mike, what is this?
According
What
to
is this
box.
contraption?
The box is
of-
great. These are the coolest toys in the world. These '60s toys. I mean, come on. You come home. Look, it's a house. Instant home.
The bed.
It's almost a Rube
I gotta
Goldberg
set it up.
thing.
Look at the TV set. No, look at the TV set. Look, and Sharon's on the TV. She's already
Oh,
there.
thank you, Mike.
It's
a
great.
beautiful table. Gotta
It's
put the
awesome.
Books. Oh, look
Oh,
at
you got the. Oh my gosh, you got the original Barbie thing too.
Yeah.
This is $25 all by itself.
Where's that
look
picture? I
See,
saw
the
it.
closer you get to the
Picture.
original, but that's look.
Barbie and
Oh,
Ken,
look,
little book.
her.
Oh my
her-
gosh, you got multiples. Oh, look, multiples.
You knocked over my couch,
Multiple
man.
Marvel Barbie and Kens. Wow.
Oh my gosh, it's a record.
Kingston
This
Trio.
is awesome.
A little Barbie record. I love it. Thank you,
So,
Mike.
for
There
any
you
of
go.
you viewers out there that didn't think we were going to do our girl quotient, here it is.
Yay!
What I gotta show, we're gonna put it on the
What is
website. We're gonna
this?
show
I
you.
just need the Barbies right now. I
There
wanna
was
play.
we'll have those for the next, but there's a commercial, a black and white commercial with the girls
What
like
is
going
it?
and going in and watching the Dream House. We'll show that on the TV.
It's
We'll
a
show
picture.
that
That's
on
a
our
lamp.
on our
It's a
website or
lamp.
whatever. But this
It's
is the
a
coolest
cool
stuff.
lamp.
Maybe I should do a Big Apple version of this.
I think it's
Comic Con in a box.
All right.
I don't
Okay.
know what
I
it
have
is.
to play now.
There you go. All right, everybody.
right.
Thank you.
All right, so here we are
It's-
Thank you,
doing
Mike.
our
I
Stan
don't
Lee
know.
Memorial episode and trying to have some fun at the same time with,
ended with the
some of
Barbie
his
Dream House.
creations and thoughts from people that he meant and his work meant so much to us.
I felt like crying for the last week.
I
And
did
it is
cry,
slowly coming in. I just wanna literally thank everyone, from my father, my mother, to every Marvel superhero, every creation that Stan and the guys at DC and Charlton and Gold Key, every comic book I've ever bought and sold, every person who's I've ever sold a comic book to, every person who's ever bought a comic book from me, a piece of art, a toy, anything, everybody I interact with, anyone I've actually created a convention for so you could come and enjoy the Big Apple and the world of comics and collectibles. I just want to thank everyone. And I just want it to go on forever, just like Stan's legacy will go on forever. And I love this world of comics, and I love the people that I meet in it, and I love the times that I've had in it. And I've never met you, Anthony, and you're an absolutely wonderful family, and all the people here. And it's just, thank you for everything.
Wow.
What else can I say?
And that's Mike being the best form of a human being that I've ever seen him. So,
And also, you know
Every
what?
once in a while it gets through.
yeah.
We got our real dream house thanks to Stanley. I think.
Yeah, well,
We have
that's,
him to thank
that's
for
what
that.
paid the bills. When we had to switch careers, and I shifted to this full time, and built this business. So we are
Thanks,
nothing
guys.
but gratitude.
I got you on Jameson.
Anthony, Sharon, Mike, and Jameson, Excelsior! Wahoo! Signing off from Selling Heroes in Leonia, New Jersey. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.